Ladies and gentlemen, this is JoeJinMovieSoAwesome. I'm Joe.
I am Won-Jin.
We're going to talk about Better Call Saul Season 6, Episode 12 today.
So, spoiler alert, major spoilers coming.
As you can see, it's black and white.
This is our little homage to the show.
I mean, Won-Jin, this episode, it really made me think about morality tales.
Good
you know
point.
what Breaking Bad is? Like Breaking Bad was? It's a mixture of a Western and a morality tale. Because there's karma there. I mean, we talked about this before.
Yes.
But there's also, in Breaking Bad's universe at least, like everybody gets what they deserve.
It's kind of like no bad deeds go unpunished.
Yeah, a little bit
You
of.
can really kind of tell.
It's a mixture also a little bit of Goodfellas, where there's always mundane scenes that actually highlights the bigger, like story arc going on, whatever. And here, this episode was, like, I would say one of the darkest episodes I've seen, like even for this season.
Yeah, and I agree that this being dark, especially because I don't know. For me, this is the first time I've seen a facade of Saul that I have never seen before.
Elaborate, please.
For example, let's dive straight into it. So far, we know Saul as Jimmy. Yes, he's been pulling pranks and everything, but he really genuinely didn't intend to harm anybody. Well, after he becomes Saul Goodman, like you said from our last episode, yes, he hinted at murdering somebody and blah 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 blah, but the impression I got was he was too much of a coward to actually kill someone himself. But in this episode, I actually got this murderer vibe.
We're going to talk about the last scene.
Yeah, especially, well, we'll talk about it later, but this is the first episode where I felt Saul was a very, very, very strange man. It's not the Saul that I've known so far.
That's actually incorrect. I would say he's always been this way, but we've been blinded by it, by his charm. This reminded me of Sopranos too, because Tony Soprano throughout 6th season we see him cheat, murder, kill, lie, manipulate, but we still love Tony Soprano, right? It's like that. Here, the show is asking us, well, here's a man, and you liked him, didn't you? You liked watching him, but who do you think he is? And it's just that last 3 minutes. Hey, shout out to Won-Jin. You were right about that. We both predicted that that
Marion had something to play.
But you were the one who said that internet stuff is gonna get him.
It's gonna blow his cover.
Yeah, and it was true. I mean, that whole like getting into that cancer guy house thing was like a fox pie. It was like a fool, like trying to fool us like it's a big deal. But like Breaking Bad, it's the most mundane things that get you caught. Remember Hank sitting in the shitter?
Yeah, and reading, he's grabbing the book, and he's like reading, and he suddenly realizes WW is Walter White.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy fucking shit, Walter White is Heisenberg.
Yeah, and back to your point about Saul, though. It does, I think. The episode is very complex. You're right too, but in the middle, where he's being very arrogant at that cancer guy's house, is also almost Walterish. But it also shows how Saul is a pain reaction to everything. You know how I got that vibe? Oh, first of all, shout out to one of our dear, hopefully subscriber behind the scenes for liking our video. Liking our personification. Thank you so much. And it reminded me of Chuck. You know why? Remember Chuck's goodbye to Saul before he kills himself? I never cared about you, he says. But we all know he cared about him. But here, when Chuck and Kim is in that divorce scene.
Oh, well, not Chuck. Saul.
Oh, yeah, Saul?
Yeah.
Saul is acting over cold.
That's right.
That we know that he's actually like repressing some pain going on
we
there.
Can tell that this is a defense mechanism.
Yeah. And that was a good go back to that, because and then we go to present day and we see what Saul actually said to Kim. And Saul, in a way, Saul is even pettier than Walter. Because Walter, before he offs himself, like suicide by Nazi killing, like he at least tells like Skylar that I loved it. Hey, you know what? Fuck all that. Yeah, it's shit. And you know what? Like, I'm sort of sorry. Here he goes like, what about you, huh? You hid away from Lalo killing Howard too.
That's right.
Huh? Like, we see him at his lowest, but we know that he didn't want to do that because afterwards, in hindsight, we know why he was acting so aggressive about the cancer guy. It's like an extension of his self-hate.
That's right.
He didn't want to say all those things to Kim. But he ended up saying those things, and that's why he's being like uber Saul, so arrogant, like almost wishing to get caught.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then here, this shows why this is a morality tale, though. We have two souls, Kim and Saul, who are very similar,
but in a strike contrast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an intentional parallel. That's why we named the title "The Good, the Bad, the Ugly." In a way, because we see Kim as somebody who is also capable of treachery and amazing empathy towards others. Here, you see her brave. Like, I did not expect that to happen, though.
Yeah, and the moment, when she was back in Albuquerque, I was wondering what she was doing, but soon I eventually figured out,
like from the very first scene,
having having heard from Jimmy what she really needed to hear, but she had been ignoring, she finally decides to face the truth.
Yeah.
And and that takes a lot of courage and balls.
And you know what? I feel like Kim suffered more than Jimmy too, because Jimmy for 6 years pretended to be Saul. Because Gene and Kim today is very similar. They're both stepped on people. So when we see Kim, she's not the Kim we remember.
Yeah,
she's completely
in that suburban housewife kind of lifestyle.
No, but not only that, but the way she talks. She's like
that's true. She never voices her own opinion.
Exactly. She's not decisive enough.
She's like, yeah, that's right. She just repeats what other people says.
Yeah, because this is a far cry from the Kimmy who doesn't need anybody to tell her what to do. And when Jimmy is in trouble against Lalo, she was the one that saved him. Remember that. She used to have balls enough to face a cartel leader and tell him to go fuck himself. But here, like, no offense to the husband guy, but he seems like a very, very average person. I don't know.
Mundane.
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry, but she's totally like indecisive. And her job is just it's a 9-to-5 job. No offense to those people, but you got to remember, Kim used to be a hell of a lawyer, like Howard Wife says. Yeah,
a very competent one.
Yeah, like a rising star.
That's right.
And she's here.
Well, one thing I was quite amused about was that the fact she had her own office, even in that setting, shows how competent she really is. Even when you give her some very what can I say, like low skill jobs.
But I was kind of sad that I was hoping, like, I don't know, like I was hoping in the bus scene where she cried, the color would go back. I don't know.
You know, I was also expecting something similar, but I now kind of figured that maybe there's no color things.
No, there is. Remember when Saul looks at Marion's computer and in his glasses, the reflection of Saul is in color.
Oh,
so we now know it's not a.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, and so we know.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so we now know it's not a time thing. For some reason, the time in Breaking Bad and Saul is color, while Gene is not. So I was kind of assuming that kind of represented the happy time.
So I
guess.
was guessing the fact that Kim's life was also in black and white. Like you said, maybe they're in a purgatory.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
No, there is an oppressive feel to it. Like, there's something that black and white does. But I was very fascinated that like us.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
us right now.
Yeah, like I was very fascinated that the reflection was in color when he looks at the commercial. Watch it again, anybody. I think it's definitely in color. So that's my big question: is like, will color come fully back the next episode, and what does that really represent? Because I almost feel like the ending scene will be in color. Like the last 3 minutes before the credit. Like this is how I almost feel like how far they're going with this black and white thing.
How many episodes do we have left? Just one?
One more.
One more?
Episode 13 is the finale. So like the big question already is, okay, let's do some predictions here.
Okay.
Is Saul gonna die? It's definitely a possibility now.
I don't think he's gonna die. My prediction is he's gonna go to jail. And
Very
because
likely.
he refused to do so on his own will, he's going to have to pay even more. You know how I know that? Remember how Saul snatched the watches from the cancer guy? And he left it on his table at home?
Yeah.
Now that he's on the run, the cops are going to search his house. They're going to find that watch.
Oh, you're right.
And because of that, he's going to have even more time.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember how he was advising to the taxi driver guy how because he was not in possession of any stolen items that he was going to be okay? Well, guess what? Saul Goodman has those 3 watches on his table.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, that was very self-destructive. It almost like it was almost intentional.
I mean, he didn't even need it.
And that height of arrogance, like, it's the hubris that got Walter caught. You know?
That's true.
And here it's happening again. But the thing is, though, the last scene with Marion is very interesting because I think the show is still asking us, because we've seen Good, the Bad, the Ugly. The Ugly was his 3 seconds where we see him like, I don't know, I think it's up to interpretation, but you obviously like he could kill him.
I got the murder vibe. Like the moment he was trying to like tighten up the telephone wire, I was like, oh my god, is he about to like strangle her with it?
No, but her line, "I trusted you," just breaks down. So no, because that scene is interesting because we see all kinds of emotion for 30 seconds, and I think that's intentional because I'm very frustrated right now, to be honest, Won-Jin. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have no clue what the finale will be.
This means the writers are doing a great job.
I mean, Jesus Christ, man, and. You know, but I do expect, I don't know, chase scene maybe? A chase scene with the cops? Because,
speaking of cops, the cops in this episode was quite funny. And I love I love the way they put those two situations, I mean, the perspectives of the cops and the perspective of the taxi driver in such a contrast that one side he was in a nerve wreck, but while the cops, we hear what they were talking about inside the patrol vehicle, the guys just complained about his fish taco.
Yeah. I mean, it's the
and that just spooks the crap out of the taxi driver.
Just the cop being him, the guilty. No, but the wicked cannot escape themselves. It's
great point.
No, because that's why I keep saying this is a morality tale, because there's something about the guilty in this show that makes a mistake. Like even Walt, you have to remember Walter before he turns all sociopath. There are scenes where it's almost like he wants to get caught. Remember, like he has the bag full of cash and Hank grabs it. There are moments where like he also buys the stupid car that everybody like recommends
recommends him not to,
and then he does it anyway. So I mean, it's a psychological drama, and I think that black and white fits well because it's like really Hitchcockian almost in the psychological sense. Here we're really. Like, this episode could have been called Inside the Criminal Mind. And then it would have still worked. It's like Inside the Criminal Mind.
But I love the cops. You know, like the moment after the taxi rams into another car, parked car, they look at themselves like, and now this guy. You can kind of tell that they couldn't really be bothered to deal with it all.
And they don't want to even be there.
Yeah.
Night shift. They're just like, they're probably designated for that area anyway. And they just have to randomly stop. No, but that's funny because that also has to do with the karma stuff we talked about. You know how in this universe, universe has like a morality thing even. Because let's look at Breaking Bad's like like I think the only death that mirrors. Okay. Here, Howard's death, I think, mirrors Hank's a lot. You know, good people getting punished.
Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what Kim said in this episode.
But it's very rare, though. Like, every other death is well-deserved. Look at even Gus. Like, you know, that's what hates gets you. Sangre like, Gus's death is so poetic because he mocks Hector for sangre por sangre, yet his sangre por sangre gets him killed.
That's right.
Like, you said blood for blood. I'll show you blood for blood. Oh, you know what? Blood for blood equals blood for blood.
That's
and then you all fucking sangre, sangre, like pied de pied. Yeah. And even Walter's death, I guess, is justice though, because like those Nazis deserve to get like God.
Oh man, I think that's what makes the last episode of Breaking Bad such a climactic experience. Because we know that they deserve to die, and they die in such a dramatic way. No, man, that machine gun fire, that's just insane.
But when you just said, what you just said, I think divides Breaking Bad fans and Better Call Saul fans. Because we know there's not going to be any machine guns here, I feel. I like this one is much more subtle, much more drama-driven, I would say. So there won't be a gunfight, I feel.
I think if Saul ever dies in the last episode, he's gonna die in the most humiliating way.
But death is so hard, though. Even Chuck killed himself. Howard, like, it's hard to measure Saul's guilt, unlike Walt, because Walt is a straight up first degree murderer. Like, if he ever went to trial, it would have been first degree.
Life in jail or death.
No, certain southern states, he's like death penalty for sure. The judge would have said, "I have never seen a more piece of shit than you." Boom, fuck you. And then he 100%. Like, he could be in like one of those jails where the Unabomber is, like the maximum one,
maximum security.
Yeah, but Saul. See, this is what makes the show so interesting. Saul's guilt is a little hard to measure. Look at Chuck. He killed himself. You can argue that Saul pushed him to it, but he never says, "I wish my brother died," or it's hard to see that. Even Howard, they wanted to put Howard down, but they didn't want him to die. You know. So. And the funny thing is, now that the show is close to the finale, I feel like Lalo and Walter were much more similar to each other than they thought.
Oh, okay.
Because you know how, like, Lalo is blissfully evil. He's happy to be evil. There's nothing like there's no qualm with him. Like, just like Hector, this is who we are. Fuck that. And then like there's no moral dilemma in Lalo's face when he shoots a man. You know, and even his hubris is really about. Like the game, it's not about like right or wrong. He's of course gonna kill him, Gus. It's about how he does it. And look at Walt. Walt is like the most Heisenbergish when he's like completely a drugged emperor. He doesn't give a fuck. But like Saul is, I think the internal struggle of Saul is much more like difficult than those characters. Because of the Marion scene, I feel. Because like one magic word. I trusted you, and Saul breaks down. He almost went to the murderer's route.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I was kind of waiting for that Fargo moment from the moment he was trying to escape from the cancer guy's house.
Oh, right.
And also in the Marion scene, but yeah, that moment never came.
No, it also reminded me of that movie by M. Night Shyamalan. The one where Professor X has 24 personalities. And
what was it called? Split?
Yeah,
Split.
Remember when the protagonist says Kevin, he breaks down.
Yeah,
it's like that magic word that reminds him back to his, let's say, original self before he had 23 or 24 more personalities. Here, the magic word is "I trusted you."
So I'm thinking, you know, these like hurtful words or antagonizing Saul is what pushes him further to becoming a criminal. And more, you know, like embracing stance or embracing words is what really disarms him in a way. And,
you know, there's just so many perspectives here. We're sorry if it sounds like a best, but Saul is very honest in his criminal activity. You know that? He's like, you could argue that Gus and Heisenberg are hypocrites Because they have this facade, right?
Yeah, they have that, the chicken restaurant.
Yeah, whatever. And Walt has to say, my family. But Saul's like, fuck that! Hell yeah, Gaudi soup, baby! Do you have rights? This is America! Get over here! And he actually tells, like, all his customers, like real shit. So, like, it's that mixture of, like, it's a different thing.
And this is what... behind the scenes, our new subscriber mentioned Saul has been very lucky so far in the show. So since we have only one episode left, I'm wondering
his luck is running out.
Is his luck really running out, or is he just gonna manage to slip out of this?
You know what I think about, like, that's a very good question. I always think of Saul as between Jesse and Walter. Because Jesse Lux comes back to him because he deserves it, right? In this universe, Jesse has done a lot of crimes too. He killed Gale, remember that?
That's right.
But he also suffered so much that the universe forgives him. He can go to the sunlight. He's like the only one that actually gets to go to Alaska and say, fuck y'all.
He paid so much for it, though.
Yeah, he sees his girlfriend get headshot.
That's right.
Like,
and he was living like an animal.
Like tied up and forced to cook meth. Like Don Eladio would have treated him better. Oh, you learned Spanish. Come here, CCC. Yeah, but and then...
You'd be like, oh, yo, hombre, this is not the way to treat a man with a cigar and let him out of the
Yeah, he's not a rata like Varga. Hey, there was a rata called Varga. We had drinks together.
Yeah, and although, he doesn't actually gives a shit, he's going to, call him over. It's like, I'm sorry for the mistreatment. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but Walter gets his. So, like, I always felt like Saul is somewhere...
In the middle?
In the middle or closer to Jesse, because we gotta remember Saul helped Walter like poison a kid, and he claims he didn't know it, but like when you're in bed with someone like Walter, like by season 3, you know what he is.
That's right.
Like by season 3, if you're in business as Walter, like even Gus wanted to stay away from Walter. This man is completely local. This psycho, get the fuck away from him. Like Mike saw through that shit. Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Like Walter's biggest lie is, I think you and I are alike. Gus like, fuck that.
No, you and I are nothing alike.
No, we're not. We're both pathologically ill, but I don't have an ego like you. Like the ego thing.
That's right.
Yeah, so Saul is like a little bit of evil everywhere. But he's also, I remember because the finale is coming, I remember him helping that old man protect his house from the bank. Remember that?
Yeah, that's true. That's one good deed. This is how interesting the show is. Now that it's reaching the finale, we get to observe and reflect on his life. Just like what a god would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so does this guy deserve a redemption?
I mean, it's really he I would say this though, he lived a really colorful life. Like even if he ends up in jail, I feel like he's gonna be buddied with Bernie. What's that?
Madoff?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if he ever goes to prison, he's gonna thrive in there. We can kind of tell.
No, but here's the important thing though. Marion says this: when I search Albuquerque and Conman. Exactly.
Up you popped.
Yeah. So he's a con man. He's not a murderer. He's not a drug dealer. He's not a drug lord. He's also not a, he's not a gang member. He's a con man. And con man is always very interesting. It's such an American tale. What's that novel called? Like, I forget. But con men are very interesting. There's a fine line between a salesman and a con man, right? Like, really? Like, yeah, I mean, Saul crosses that line eventually, but we do see him for like 3 to 4 seasons struggling even. Because remember in the season 1, I love it when Vargas says, okay, you're gonna help me steal the thieves, and Saul says, I'm not. He resists being Slippin' Jimmy. So there's Slippin' Jimmy, and then there's Jimmy that helped Lalo, a friend of the cartel, and then there's Saul. And Saul is just, I think Saul is basically Slippin' Jimmy and Jimmy the Good Kid both on steroids now. That's how I really think now.
Or, I'm thinking maybe, I said this last time, we haven't seen the true Saul Goodman yet. We almost saw it in this episode.
You mean the murderer?
Yeah, we still haven't seen Saul Goodman. So maybe the last episode will fill the gap.
No, but Kim's choice also could mean that Saul has a choice too. He could, because we don't know what he did after he ran out of the car. I think a beautiful scene might be something like, in The Wire when what's Avon's favorite lieutenant called?
Weebay.
Yeah, when Weebay confesses.
Yeah,
Yo, I killed him. I killed him. Give me some horseradish, yo. Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, I fucking killed him.
And all these the former enemies all just like hang together in jail.
Yeah. Life sentence, whatever. And then he's like, yo, my name is my name. And then like he has no shame about who he is, right? He's a gangster. So he has no shame. So I was hoping like Saul could maybe do that. He could still pay for his crime, but maintain if he thinks Saul is who he really is.
Or maybe Kim will eventually be tried and she'll be sent to jail.
Oh.
And also Saul will be sent to jail. But maybe both of them will end up in jail.
But this show it strongly hinted that like the prosecutors might not, like Kim tells Sherry that they might not do it because there's no physical evidence. There's this confession, right? So in your theory, what would make sense is Saul coming clean too and like collaborating what Kim says, then they can be charged. So that would make an actual like complete confession.
Yeah. And since last time we saw what's his name, William Oakley, that guy was practicing as an attorney
I hope he makes a scene.
I think he's gonna make a scene.
Yeah.
And I think Saul Goodman will be recalled back to Albuquerque, and he's gonna be tried. And I think he's gonna look for the help of William Oakley.
But a lot needs to happen in
the last episode.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is this the last episode gonna be like extra long or something?
I don't think so.
Because remember
though.
we saw in Stranger Things. I mean, the last episodes were like 2 hours.
No, but Breaking Bad's last episode was just really tight.
Since this kind of seems to be like the trend these days, maybe they will have like an extra length episode or something.
Potentially. But it's really hard to predict though.
Okay. Oh, and these like little small details I liked about the show was, you know how the episode begins with Jimmy like bouncing that rubber ball in his office? And remember how that column kind of like falls down? That again I think is a great symbol.
Oh.
That he has no foundation. In his personal life and his professional life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Won-Jin is a true fan of the show. I didn't get that at all. I just saw him being an asshole.
I thought that was a brilliant scene. Like the whole column is actually holding nothing.
Right.
That's just like a styrofoam thing.
The office is fake.
Yeah. There's nothing solid about his foundation.
No, but seeing that, the scene with Kim was really beautiful though. Because I feel like Kim, I don't know. It's up for us to interpret, right? But Kim's lines were really poignant when Jesse and she was outside.
Oh, that's right. We forgot to mention the cameo by Jesse.
When Jesse asked her, is he a good lawyer? And she says, "When I knew him,
he was."
That was like a double meaning line, right? That's basically saying, I don't recognize this man anymore. I think that's what she was trying to say, and to the audiences, and it was really sad because I felt like Kim almost wanted like Jimmy to say something more, like "I love you" or "Don't go," or and because you know what I like about Ben-Hur is those people with
what are they called? What's the disease called?
Like
I forgot.
Yeah, but anyway, they have each other. So I feel like sinners, because that's the reason why Walter loved Jesse. They're both sinners. They're in it together, so to speak. And Walter doesn't want to, like Walter becomes unhinged when he loses Jesse. I think that's like a good, like a parallel here too.
That's right.
Because when Saul loses his like partner in crime, he's completely unhinged. And Walter too. Walter has a weird obsession with Jesse. Like it's like a love and hate relationship, but it's also like what keeps him from completely turning to the dark side, like his paternal love for Jesse, so to speak. But when he loses Jesse, he turns here. So I think that was also a chance for Saul to somehow control himself. They could have come up with a better solution too, but I don't know though. Like this season so far is hinting strongly at a very a tragedy. You know what? But what would be fitting for this show would be a tragic comedy though.
Yeah, if now that I've seen this episode, I don't really mind how the show ends. It could be a tragedy. It could be a happy ending. I wouldn't really mind because so far I'm very satisfied with what I saw.
Hey, let me ask you. Let's not predict more for our last thing. Do you think Saul deserves to have a chance at redemption?
I think his mundane life at the Cinnabon was his chance.
Okay.
And he just couldn't help himself, and he just blew it again. And therefore, he doesn't deserve another chance.
Okay. It's interesting how two people see the same thing and come up with different answers. Because I saw it as an extension of his punishment, though. Because he acts out because that's who he is, and he can't be that when he's Gene, right? So, I don't know, though. I think him getting a 20-year sentence and possibly getting probation in 10 years might be appropriate. Because if he didn't run to Gene, I think his sentence would have been lighter.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it would have been
and that's what Kim suggested over the phone. It's like based on what they have is it can't be that bad or that long.
No, it is that bad though. It's minimum 10 years. Like money laundering, that don't fuck with the IRS. That's already a serious crime. So that's we're at least talking a decade. Plus abetting murder.
Oh, and remember what Gene was telling the taxi driver dude and his friend. He was telling them
federal crime.
Yeah, transporting stolen goods over overstate, and that's 10 years. 10 years. Maybe that's a foreshadow.
Yeah,
those are the years that he's gonna get.
And mind you, I bet my bottom dollar that those are not gonna run concurrently. They're gonna be stacked up to each other. So that's okay, never mind. 30 to 40 years. Okay, Saul, just shoot yourself, man. Just call Kim and say I love you, and before it's too late. That might be no wonder Walt just did that. He's like, he looked at this. Oh, I might as well. I got everything I wanted. I don't need no fucking trial.
It's been a good life.
Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway. One more thing though, it's emotionally hard for me to say goodbye to the show. This show has been such a joy for us, both of us, to watch
for such a long time.
Like weekly thing, but it's coming to an end. I do think they are gonna announce a spin-off again though. Like
the Salamancas. That's right, Salamancas.
Inferno, Mexico. I wouldn't mind if director Rodriguez. Yeah. Like hip hop starting and Hector with his nephews. La Familia Todo, whatever that was. Yeah. Because I would definitely watch a show with Lalo growing up.
That's right. Or Hector growing up. Or Hector coming to power.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, Salamanca is definitely the military wing of the Eladio organization. So, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Anyway, did you watch episode 12? Did you like it? What you think of it? If you have anything to share, please leave a like and reply. And please subscribe if you like our podcast. We will be back next week with the finale of season 6.
Oh, and just before we finish, another thing I loved about the episode was the period correct references. I love how Marion said that she didn't search Google. She asked Jeeves.
She did? I don't even remember.
Ask Jeeves. Who uses Ask Jeeves nowadays?
Wait. What year was this again?
I think this is supposed to be 6 years after Kim and Jimmy broke up, because that's what they talked on the phone.
So it's early 2010.
Yeah. And she's like, I asked Jeeves.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, that gave me a chuckle.
Oh, that gives me an idea. Maybe we will get a time jump after his jail sentence and we will see Saul come out of the jail. And that's when the color comes back.
That could work.
And then Kim is waiting for him outside or something.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I'm being too romantic.
Or maybe too optimistic about the show.
Yeah. Because this season has been dark. Very, very dark.
Very dark.
Anyway, thank you so much. Next week, we'll be back with either Blackbird or Sandman.
Sandman.
Okay, let's all wait for the finale, guys. Thank you so much. This has been Joe.
I've been Won-Jin.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Hell yeah.